Welcome back. We have a very full day. I'm happy to introduce David Kuritar and Xledger as our next presenter. Um, Xledger is a accounting platform. Their US headquarters are actually based here in Colorado Springs. Whenever we can, the COCPA, tries to partner with Colorado companies. So those are always our favorites, or when they have, a major office here in town, that's also important thing to us. Xledger's been with us for a long time. I think we're going on 4 years now. They are a great system. They're kind of that next step up from, QuickBooks and Xero. And I know Xero will be on later, and I know the two teams have talked, and I think they refer back and forth for each other. So they actually have a great working relationship, which I think is really cool. And Xledger's also been doing some cool other things. Dave, I don't know if you're going to talk about your state of accounting book because it's more of a demo.
Oh,
But I'll try to find it and maybe throw it up in chat so they can see it, because I thought that was a cool study you guys did in terms of the state of accounting, which had more to do with just accounting in general than necessarily your accounting platform
mhm.
specifically. Please throw your questions in the chat. I'm going to challenge this group. We finally got a couple questions on the last session. Please feel free to ask questions of David, and we'll share those as we go along. But Dave, I'll let you take over.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daryl. And it's great to be back at this event. And you said it very articulately. Yep, we are kind of the next step up from some of the other softwares, which are great. Xero, a great platform. And as companies grow and scale, we're here to help get them to the next level. And that state of accounting that Daryl mentioned is about our industry and some of the trends that we're seeing. So hopefully, if you have time to go through that, it'll be worth your time. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. And so we all know where we're at. And Xledger is we're a privately owned company. Two of the majority owners are here in Colorado Springs. There's two other minority shareholders that are in Oslo, Norway. So they were here and moved there probably about 20 years ago now. So Xledger was founded in the year 2000 and basically global in reach. So how we do that is through just dozens of languages. They're inside Xledger, as well as nearly 200 currencies. So we can really effectively support multinational companies. We have two sales channels. One is direct, where we sell directly to clients, and that ideal client profiles probably 5 to 10 million at the very smallest, up to 100 million. That's our sweet spot. So we have clients up to a billion, but they're kind of outliers, but we can support their business. We also have a partner channel that maybe you could be a part of. We work with outsourced accounting and bookkeeping firms. A lot of those are tied to CPA firms, and some are independent software partners. So out of Grand Junction, a company called EWS provides software to the moving industry, and we've partnered with them to replace a Microsoft GP product that is getting sunset shortly. So we partner with other software companies as well, and also referral partners. And so a lot of times, CFO, fractional CFO, or an accounting firm can recommend us. If we're a good fit, we can start the analysis of that. We typically do a gap analysis, pretty low-key sales process. We just want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other before we even talk about licensing the product. The three value pillars, this is what resonates. I think this is the common ground with us and our customers. So they really value the efficiency gains that they can have through Xledger. They're looking for that insight. They want to understand how their business is performing, and perhaps out of the numbers, what's the story? What maybe they could do or pivot internally to enhance the business performance. And then scalability. You mentioned Xero, great product. And then as people scale up, you basically cannot outscale Xledger. Solutions wheel And this is all of we're not just a core accounting product, but we've got all of these other modules native. They were all built inside Xledger's core code, and it's always been cloud-based code. We've not tried to retrofit anything. And the way we bill, all of this is available for one cost. So we don't charge additional fees for additional modules. That might be unique in the industry. One of the great things that we do, common to a lot of our clients, is their multi-entity. And we support that inherently. Just the way we're structured, I think, supports multi-entity businesses really better than anyone I've seen. I've implemented a few softwares back when I was CFO for a couple firms, and Xledger really does a fantastic job at doing this. So I put up a little org chart. This is a sandbox demo company that I will hopefully get into a little bit later. And you can see at the top is that holding company, Apex Consolidated. And why I'm showing this is an accountant that is in Xledger, and maybe it's supporting, I think in here there's, 4, 5 operating companies. But Xledger at that Apex Consolidated level can really keep accountants up there if they choose. So instead of toggling between different entities, they can actually stay in at that consolidated level, and they can post journal entries. They can process through our electronic workflow, maybe invoices or bills that need to get paid, purchase orders that need to get processed. The payment release can be done up there. So maybe someone's initiating ACH, releasing an ACH, printing checks. All of that for all the entities can be done at that consolidated level. Bank reconciliation, we've got some phenomenal automation tools that can take nearly all, if not all, of the burden of bank rec off your plate. And that can be managed also at that consolidated level. And then everyone should be expecting this, but reporting, just inherent reporting, log in at that consolidated level, and you can see all of the subsidiaries, everything, that data flows up to that consolidated level. So filtering tools, so you could be at the consolidated level and actually isolate anything that's below it through some quick filtering tools as well. I'm going to quickly go through this, but automation enables scalability. It helps improve the quality of product that the accounting teams are presenting the organization and management. So some of the things that we do, and our state of accounting talks about just the difficulty in finding really good accountants to come work. Through this automation, we're able to supplement that a bit. So that consolidation, multiple entity organizations I talked about, the intercompany. So basically an accountant would only need on this org chart. So maybe the Apex Inc. is actually covering some bills for, or maybe for 2 of them. Apex Inc. can create that AP, pay the bill, create the intercompanies with those other entities, and it will post in all of the affected entities. So there's no need to toggle back and forth between companies affected by that intercompany transaction. And when it clears in one entity, it will auto clear, auto post in the other. So highly efficient for intercompany. Some great tools to allocate. A lot of people allocate out maybe administrative expenses over different cost centers or business units. We've got templates that can be developed. People can do it at month end, part of a month end process. They can also do it on per journal entry process. Just makes the work really quick. Talked about the bank rec, automation, corporate credit card. So when I was managing accounting teams, the thing I hated most was corporate credit card, having my team or myself trying to get the C-suite, salespeople, project managers to turn in the receipt. So Xledger actually has, I think, the best tool to manage that, where the cardholder, maybe with a mobile app or on their desktop, laptop, bringing in receipts for their expense report, and it is auto taking care of the bank rec for the credit card simultaneously. So it's very nice. I think quietly they end up doing the work for the reconciliation part of that, which is nice. So a lot of other recurring billing, if someone maybe on a subscription or other product like that, we can set that up quite easily. And then depreciation, embarrassed, but before organizations I've been with, we kept our assets in our fixed asset schedules in Excel. So Xledger module comes with the base program, and you can set up auto depreciation. So it'll just post very easy to onboard and offboard assets as well. And then I want to show this in a little bit on the OCR engine that we have that can take away a lot of the data entry. So I'm just in a minute going to jump into Xledger, but we have taken Xledger is really a significant sized ERP system, and to do all of the things that it can do, and the powerful things, multi-entity, multi-currency, consolidations, everything, it has a very complex architecture. So how do you kind of manage, how do you balance that complexity on the back end and all that functionality that's been coded with a better user experience? Because people always want simpler, cleaner, personalized. And I want to go through some of the things that Xledger has done to help improve that UI UX experience for people. So there's some login defaults, and I'm just going to go through these quickly and then jump into Xledger. And we've got different roles that people say that's part of our security, but it's also a way to simplify. And when I log in, I'm going to log in as just an employee with expense reports, and you can see how simple the system is. We've got my quick menus. We're web-based, so we have menu paths, and people can basically build their own favorite structure, making what could become an overwhelming menu structure pretty reasonable. The most recent thing we rolled out was these menu levels, and I'll go through there and show you the difference between a basic to an expert, and one other option there that's my favorite. So we've got layout options, and that are different. I'll show you, and what I mean by that are different icons to list, and people can kind of make it their own. So let's jump into Xledger without any further delay. And I'm going to log in. So we've got a single sign-on method. We're a Microsoft shop, so that's going to be my option. There's the traditional username and password. You can also pair it with a smart device and use a token or passcode to get in. So we want to make it easy for people to get in. So I mentioned as I'm logging in as an employee that has expense reports only. So what we want is to make the training easy, and we don't want people to get lost. So if there are people out there in your organization and they would only need expense reports, this is all they would see when they log in. Looks pretty simple. So this icon here is for my receipts. So they're just aggregating receipts in there. And then when it's time to turn those receipts into an expense report, they use this icon and basically start pulling the receipts into the expense report. When they're finished, it's an electronic submission, and our workflows basically rely on the task list here to distribute the work, let people know what work is on their plate to do. So the supervisor of whomever is doing the expense report could get an email with a hyperlink to view that expense report, whether approve it, or they could actually send it back to the employee with a note on why they're not approving it, let that employee take corrective action, resubmit it to the supervisor. So that's one of the paperless workflows. And Xledger, if you want to get paperless, we're the platform for that. It's easy to get documents in the system, and then you leverage all of the benefits and the efficiencies you get from operating in a digitized system. So right now I'm at a very basic, probably the lowest level you could get as a user of Xledger. I'm going to jump all the way up into a support level, And so you'll see my menu paths now. I have a lot more icons to work with. I'm still in my quick menu. And as I mentioned before, that is kind of the hyperlinks that I have developed. Let me just make sure my setting is, I'm going to jump over to expert, reload this because I want to show you how it can shrink back. So I'm going to go into a default menu and support. So we have some people like icons, some don't. Some people would prefer maybe a list-based menu path. So this I find more efficient than icons. And so this is available. They just kind of rolled out these two options this summer as well. And so it's real quick to toggle back and forth between icons. What we want to do is really enable a user to make Xledger look and feel like their preference. Some people prefer maybe the standard old menu paths that are quite lengthy. Let me get into some reports. So you can see how long maybe some of these menu paths are. Where was I? Distributed budgeting. So what we've done with that is changed. So I'm in expert level. I'm going to change that to recently used. So recently used is, I think the time frame is 3 months. Where have I been in 3 months? And it's probably relying on the 80-20 rule. So I'm probably using 20% of the functionality or the screens, or I'm doing things repetitively. I'm not using 80% of the menu pass. So why not use that toggle and bring the system down and make it more simple for what I'm typically doing? Obviously, I can always toggle it back if I need to do something else. But let's look at those financial. So it just shrank from, I don't know if you notice me scrolling up and down that menu path, but now I'm left with 7 and a subfolder. So these are where I typically do my job every day. I don't need to see everything else on a daily basis, so I'll just use that. So that is when I talked about the complexity of behind the scenes, shrinking that down, making that user experience much higher, reducing that training time as well. I'm going to jump back to some of the settings here, one of which I'm going to return from recently used back to expert and reload the page. So there's some other ways that users can make Xledger their own. And so one would be when they log in, what role do they want to log in at? Do they want to log in as that employee? Do they want to log in as a project manager, a C-suite person, auditor? And that will also change those menu paths, but it also will change kind of what you can do and see in the organization. So I've always kind of in the past didn't have the ability to limit people's usage of the system. So basically, the accounting system was left to my accounting team and myself. But now in this bigger system, you can actually invite people in. So maybe it's a C-suite person that wants to get into Xledger. We're going to limit what they can do and what they can see based on the setup for that role. But maybe when they log in, maybe it's the owner of the company, maybe it's a manager. They could log into Xledger and they would land right on their most favorite dashboards. And so that's what we have here. You can see I'm in a subsidiary now. You can see kind of the organizational structure of the main corporate office, but we've got some departments down here. And people can make this their own right now. If you can read that, we're on a favorites menu path. So if I'm looking at a financial statement and maybe I like this cash flow, I basically mark it favorite and it will go back and place that on my favorites tab. So you can see it added it here on the bottom right. So if I no longer want to see that, then I just uncheck my favorites. So pretty easy functionality, but for users of the system to go through and grab, there's literally in our library, there's a few hundred CAN dashboards that are available, and they're all organized in these tabs. But once someone finds what their favorites are, they can start aggregating those favorite dashboards into one spot, just make it more efficient for them. Can also create new menu paths, new folders at will, and even the dashboards themselves. Xledger has a proprietary report writer. So a user can go in, and what I would recommend, if there's a balance sheet, maybe you want to make adjustment to it, maybe convert it from a GAAP look to an IFRS look, go in and copy that one. You can modify it, move the rows around, and then save it as a new balance sheet and post it. And pretty easy to do. You can do that with the PDF reports, Excel reports, dashboards throughout the reporting system. You have the tools within Xledger to create your own views. So what else do we have? Talked about that quick menu. So you can pin it here so it'll stick. And if I'm doing some APs and journal entries, I've aggregated what might be across a few menu paths into one kind of folder, a favorites folder that I created. So real easy. If I want to delete something, I can do that. I can expand it. I can move things around. Real easy, intuitive to organize, but very helpful as well. And let's see, what else do we have? We some visual adjustments that we have here. So we've got some different skins, some different themes that people can use, and probably the most stark difference. I'm in light mode right now, but we also have a dark mode, which when I'm working, I kind of grown to prefer that. It's a bit easier on my eyes, but for demo purposes, it is probably better to stay in light mode. So that's kind of it on visual adjustments. There's some wallpapers and things like that in the background that can be had as well. Let me go over and just show you, writing an AP. So a couple ways that I can get there. What role am I in? All right. I can go through my quick menu and click on new journal entry. I could go through this longer menu path if I wanted to as well. And let's see. And I could also go through, where is it? A couple different ways I can get there. So there's numerous ways to get through Xledger through the menu paths to see or to do different things. So you just kind of pick what you like. So this is going to be our kind of a main journal entry screen. And there's a lot going on here. So we at the top, kind of for explanation, we've got what we call the header. And the header is here. It's going to have default to the period date, posted date, defaults to today. Easy to change that and override it. As you can see, everything else is blank. The journal entry will actually appear at the bottom as we complete our work. But let me just bring in, I'll bring in a document. So I've got an image. This is a PDF. It does all kinds of other images. I'll drop that here. The most efficient way would be to give suppliers an email address that will actually move their email and attachments right into a digitized work queue that can be managed either by the accounting or by an admin team, and then move it into the accounting workflow. So as that image I dropped is getting copied into Xledger, there's a couple things happening. I'll zoom in a little bit here. So there are some OCR engines, optical character recognition engines, that are running, converting this image into text. So now if we go back and look at our screen, our transaction source, we're registering an AP. It recognized Mountain View Comfort, so it chose accounts payable for it. It read the invoice date, the due date. It read Mountain View Comfort and chose that as our supplier in the subledger. It actually wrote our journal entry for us as well. So now, instead of me typing, I'm actually more proofing, and I'm much better at proofing than I am at typing. So say, for instance, I actually needed to move some text over here. I just put the cursor in that field, and I can just click on that sentence, and it moved it into the note field for my journal entry. So I'm going to pay by check. That's the default method on Mountain View's vendor record. And it picked that. It read the invoice, and it has our account number for them as well. Kind of proofed it all. Everything looks good to me. If I needed to add maybe a department or a project, and these are all configurable based on our client's needs. So they might have one, they could have 5, 6 dimensions, might know them as classes or tags. Or tagging that general ledger, that journal entry with these identifiers so that we can then go back and report on them as well. So this one has a default. Mountain View is defaulted to our admin, and everything looks good to me. I just hit posting. And so that moved it through that electronic workflow. And I can see that on the accounting dashboard. Now I'm in a sandbox, so it's not going to move quickly over here, but it will appear in my unapproved bills. And with that, I can open that up, review it, look at it. Just like an expense report, I can approve it, or I can return it to someone in the organization, maybe back to the previous accountant, with a note on why I'm sending it back. Maybe it needed to be coded differently. But once I approve it there, it can then move on to the payment release. So let me just check my clock real quick and see how we're doing. We've got a couple minutes only. So this would be the payment unpaid bills screen. We actually have Xledger's been updating some things. I'll go to simplified unpaid bills. So this is a newer, more functional unpaid bills screen. You can do a lot more with it, searching and identifying things. So I have some of these that need to get paid. They've been approved. The invoice has been approved, but now I'm in that payment process, and I'm probably not the same person that approved that invoice. So at Xledger, we want to enable them to see everything that they're approving. So this one happens to be an expense report. It has been approved by their manager, but as a payment person, I want to take a look at it and make sure everything's good. And once it is, then I can just click on and hit approve, and it's queued up now for payment. So it's either these payment methods or check. It's going to print a check. The neat thing is, if you're approving things in the future, it's going to have a target date. So if an ACH is due on September 20th, you could approve it today, but based on your configuration, maybe you don't want to release that ACH until the 19th of September. The system's going to recognize that you approved it today. On the 19th, it's going to trigger that ACH payment to your supplier, and kind of let you work ahead of time instead of trying to carve out time to make approvals and payment approvals. You can do it at your leisure or when you have time, and the system isn't going to make those payments. Really helps cash flow. I think that's one of the things that we can do. I think I'm out of time. I got maybe a couple seconds here. If someone has a question, I can also stay after. I won't shut this down. If you have some questions, you want to hang over in this room, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yep. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, if anyone, again, you can hang out here, and then when you're done talking to Dave, then jump out and jump back into the next session, which starts at 11:30. There's no questions in the chat. I shared your future of accounting.
Oh, great.
Where they can find that and download that. And I also, you guys have a special offer for COCPA members in our member savings center. So I recommended they check that out as well. So yeah, if you're more than welcome to stay here with Dave. Otherwise, feel free to jump out, and thank you, David, for your time. We
Yep.
very much appreciate it.